Hello, welcome to another Howler Basics tutorial. I'm excited to be back. I've had the most horrible time trying to record this video. I've done it 9 times now. So, hopefully, we will make it all the way through this time. I will be very, very happy if we do. As you'll notice, my UI is a little bit different. It says I'm on Howler 11, which is out. But it works, pretty much same as Howler 10 or Howler 9 or even, Howler 8. You should be able to follow along with the tutorials fairly easily because it's mostly the same kinds of things. All right, people in the PD Project Dog Waffle on Facebook group, somebody was talking about how to do water reflections. And since I really like doing water reflections, I thought I'd go ahead and do a little tutorial. There's a number of different ways in Howler that you can go about doing some water reflections, from very simple up to some pretty complicated things. So I figure we'd start with the some of the simplest ways and work our way up. So we have here a terrain that was generated in 3D Designer, which is here under the Transform 3D Designer, and as you see, there's a little bit of some mist and watery aspects here. New puppy ray. So under Transform Puppy Ray, it actually will do water reflections built in to the program now. So that's a possibility, but if you've painted your own or whatnot, or you're working with one of the older versions, such as 10 or 9, it of course doesn't do that, so it's nice to know how to do various water reflections. So the first way, and the most simple, I will show you why it doesn't work on all different pictures. It's important that you have a lot of stuff going on up here to use this first version, because otherwise you won't be pleased with the outcome. So you go to the symmetry tool and you do vertical mirror. And when you do so, yes, you've got this all mirrored down here, but you've just lost all of your green and the things that those can do for you. So that's not the optimal version. And sorry about that. So if you're going to want to do something like that, what you're going to want is something that covers up here a lot higher. This is just a crazy generated piece. So as you see, it has a lot more activity going on up here in this upper half. So with that, we can easily come in here. We do the vertical mirror. And interestingly, that doesn't work the same way that when I did it earlier. How very strange. Okay, well, you can, cut across this, and so you've got some mountainy pieces and whatnot. All right. Well, now, we'll probably have to cut part of this out because I just, totally don't understand why that just did that. Vertical symmetry puts you a line, which will kind of show you where it will cut off your line and things. And you can also reset your vertical symmetry by doing the set center, which will let you bring it up or down, however far you want it to go. Then you click to set the spot. This can be really useful if you already have your water system in here and you want to paint some trees and some things along the shoreline and have them go down below the line, because whatever we put up here in this top half repeats itself down there. Right then. So we're going to clear that out. And as I said, do the vertical mirror. from here, we just need to create our water line that separates the sky. And so we can use the default brush that's here and bring the size down tremendously, bring the opacity down quite a lot as well, and then use a line tool. That will help us to, do a straight line. As I said, this is the simplest version that we're doing here. So there we've got sky going from both directions so that we get a fairly even line going across. And then switch it to white. Make it a little bigger here. You can do that without having to go back to the brush. You can stay right here in line to do that. And then, I know what I've done. And here's a mistake that you need to watch for. Make sure you take your vertical mirror off. Figure that out before you start doing this, or you get the funny lines. So, from here now, there we go. Now it appears where it's supposed to. As many times I've done that, you'd think that I would remember it, but hey, it gave you a chance to see something that can cause you an issue as well. So we'd go like so with the interactive undo, and now we've got our water line, some reflection. Very quick, very simple way to go about doing that on a very still kind of lake. If we wanted to make the water move a little bit more, we use the rectangular selection tool. Select the bottom half there, and we can use the transform filter and use the wave distort. Wave distort tends to work best for smaller bodies of water. You want to bring your displacement way down, and you can adjust your frequency as to how much movement that you want. Bigger wave sources tend to do more messy. It looks more like a pond, or it looks more like there's having several different wave sources and whatnot, and that can make a neat reflection set. Just very, very, very simple. You can also, with this, use a displacement map if you were to have one over in your swap buffer. So the second way to make your waves and things is we're going to go up here. I'm going to swap the two buffers. You can also do that with the J key. Will jump back and forth, and we want to come here and do a plasma noise render. Want it to be fairly small scaled. Black and white looks great. Then you might even want to do the transform with the wave distorts or some other things. That looks pretty nice right there. Now we're going to swap it back. So this is over here in our swap buffer, as you can see, and here's our main picture. So now we can come down here and we can go to displace by swap. And there's a color twirl, pool displace, cloaking, some various displaces that use whatever image that you have in swap. We're going to use the pool displace. And as you see, we've got some quick watery things. A little bit more swirl if we want that to really be moving, but then run the displacement back down quite a bit. So again, this is more for like a pool or a pond or something of that nature rather than a lake or an ocean. It looks different, but it's quick and easy. So there's a couple of different versions for your water reflections and things right from the beginning. Now, what if you have, like in this original picture, you want to have more of the mountain showing? So we're going to pull up this picture now. And the quickest and easiest way of doing that is the flip. So we're going to take this right here, which is your custom brush. You go down and you decide there at your bottom about where you want your horizon or water line to be. So this is going to be where your water line is going to go. Select here. So this is now a custom brush. We're going to bring it all the way up to full opacity and set the steps to 0. So now we're going to take the brush, flip it vertically, and then bring it down to the place that you previously selected. So we'll line that up and click once. So now we have our reflection, just the same way that we did it before, but now it's down here lower, so we have more of our grasslands and things. And again, you can do the same thing. Make a selection, water it out, and whatnot. I'm going to show you another reflection way, and this is the Gaussian. So we've got our reflection. I'm selecting that area, and I'm going to blur it with Gaussian Blur. Just go up a little bit at a time there. And that gives you, again, a very quick and simple, blur. You can even blur it way out if you want. I'd like to leave just a little bit of things there. So, quick and easy. Put your water line in. At this point, you could even do some, like we did of displacing before. So if we did the displacement here, displace by swap, and the let's do the contour this time so you can see the difference. And so there's the color. Bring the display down just a little bit, and that gives us a little bit of motion and movement back there in the water. It's not a accurate effect, but it works. It's pretty cool. All right. You can also use this as a base for some of the hand painting techniques too. So let's undo this. Another one that you can use in the blur area is the motion blur. And on this one, go up, and that makes everything else slide down, and then just bring it down slightly. So now you've got the look of everything reflecting down in the water, slight movement and whatnot, and so that does a really quick and neat job. You can also, after you've put some foliage and things here on your shoreline, you could do the same thing. Pull that down, and that'll drag your, once you flipped it, that'll drag your colors down and stuff a lot. So there we have that. So using the custom brush piece to put down in that area. And to show you how that works, this is one that's done with the Gaussian. Yep, let me fix that, which is probably why my other one didn't work, because I forgot that. All right, when you're redoing that, if they've different, if they're different scales for the pictures that you have stored, make sure that you use replace existing image, because otherwise it'll just fit it into the picture. So here we go. Down here in this area, I just did the flip in the Gaussian blur, and then I went and put in the rest of my shoreline and things here by hand. So for this particular very misty looking picture, the Gaussian worked really nice. And this one here, same thing. Added some blue over here, some white over here, so I didn't even do a flip. This was just hand painted. Blurred this, including putting a zoom blur or vector blur, motion blur, sorry, at an angle. Then took a brush, after I'd made a brush or used a brush, flipped that upside down, and then added a shoreline. And so that, using just a brush, same thing here, using brushes, flipping them to then make your reflections show up in the water. And for that, you can use pretty much any brush that you have for that. I have a section of brushes that are I'm put together, and it has bushy stuff and branches and things. So, I could make my bushy stuff along here. It's because I still have something over in custom. Okay, let's try that again. Bushes. And I've got my preview on. There we are. There's the bushes. So if I wanted to make a new water line, I could just go right along there. If I have selection on, clear selection. There we are. Sometimes that's what happens. You can't see it, but it's there. So there's mine. Brushes and things like that. And then I would, go through and do some sanding along in there. Select that area. This is, of course, quick and dirty messy. And use the motion blur. Again, go up. And we don't want it to spread down too much. So it's pretty much there at the beginning. So there we have some quick water reflections. And then I'd go through and make my water line right across there. To show you how this one actually works when it's got the correct buffer. This one we were doing the mirror. So, vertical mirror. There we go. That's the way that it's supposed to look. And we do the same things. Put your water line across here, and then adjust however you want your reflections. But this is what I was talking about, having a lot of things up in the top area. Okay, and then this one. Make sure that you clear those out, because otherwise you get odd things. But my least coherent, I think, that I've done. There we go. Put that into the frame. So here we just painted in the sky, and then after doing the trees and whatnot, took that, did the flip. That allowed the mountains and everything else to be there. Then went back in and put in the rest of the shoreline and the lines and things. And this was also Gaussian after we did the flip. So that's where we do the selection with the custom brush, flip it over, and then add your things in on top. So let's do a quick one then with the doing it by hand as a brush. So we're going to use this one. Clear out our selection. We don't have our vertical on, so that's good. And first thing is we're going to get a big airbrush here and use white. Or I often use just like a blue and kind of white outer center here just a little bit. There we go. You can then do a selection if you're worried about crossing over your lines. Otherwise, you can just, eyeball it and use the brush. I have my awesome water smear brush right here. As you see, looks just kind of like a odd squiggly line. And it already has special settings in the mode and in the style and whatnot that will allow this to make wonderful water reflections. So I decide where I generally want my water line to be, so probably right here just above where I have that. And you drag straight down, and you put this beside it and drag straight down. And what this does is it is set for blur and has a little bit of a step to it. It's taking and pulling everything down just like a wet on wet technique. Also has a little bit of a jitter to it, which gives it the those wonderful highlights and stuff. So after I've gone that way, if I want to be a little smoother, I might go back up this way. And, you know, maybe a spot here or there where I want a little bit more of the gray to show through the things that are underneath. This also lets you adjust your water line a little bit more. It doesn't have to be completely and absolutely straight across. But you still want it to be generally straight, which is why you drag straight down. If you have any trees or anything else that are, you know, up there, it's going to pull them down too. So we have our lovely line here. At that point, I come down here and get my land knife. Switch to dark. And I don't want my random mission on this one to be as big. I want to go ahead and put it in myself. So make that a little bit smaller. Not sure why my preview is not showing. And this kind of along the line of where I want the water to go. These also work extremely well with the with your brush, if you or tablet. If you have your tablet, that allows you to adjust your opacity a little bit more and allows you to adjust the the speed, things like that. And it looks like currently the battery is dead on my brush, so I will continue doing it with a mouse. That's what I get for not recharging it. So just continue bringing that along, and then I switch to white and kind of do the same thing where the water's moving up along the shore. So I've got my water and things along there. At this point, then you'd want to, maybe start adding in some foreground elements, some islands, some trees, other things like that, and then you're done. As I said, makes a really nice set. Okay. Piece here. There we go. As you can see, that was not what I wanted. Undo. I hit the wrong thing. There we go. And there. I went ahead and did a straight line on this one. Using that other technique, used the brush to do the pull down on it, and then added in my foreground elements. In order to make a nice finished picture. So those are some various ways to do the reflections, water reflections of mountains, and you can also, of course, put a city or anything else there along the shore, and get some different looks and varieties with it. I'm intending to eventually package up the water brush and offer that for people who'd like to use that brush if you don't want to try and figure one out yourself. And I'll try and post that eventually down in the down links when I get that done. All right then, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.